Welcome back to the Elmore Family Adventure. Today we're going to be talking about what we think about the Disney Alaska cruise on the Disney Wonder and if it's worth it, and maybe some tips and tricks along the way to help you make a decision on if you want to go and how to make the best of your trip. This is a specific to the Alaska sailings kind of review tips and tricks. If you want a review and kind of more general tips and tricks for Disney Cruise Line, go see our review of the Disney Magic, where we have more of a general basis for the cruise lines, or the cruise line. So first, when you are thinking about doing a Disney cruise to Alaska, you're gonna be wanting to budget that out, and to start off you're going to look at the staterooms and where you'll be staying at on the cruise. So the first part of your budgeting and decision making is, do you want a stateroom with a veranda or a balcony? And for a lot of people that's really important. You know, you want to see the Alaskan, I guess, wilderness, outdoors, the ocean, the coastline, the ocean, but that does come with a price. So what's our opinion on that?
I think that the veranda was amazing. We got to see a lot of coastline, and you know, if there's multiple people in your party, if you're going to have multiple staterooms, you don't have to all have a veranda. We didn't. We had two different staterooms, one right across the hall from each other, so we were able to let the girls come over into our stateroom and be able to look out on the veranda. And pretty much every time we went into port and we left port, we all stood out on the veranda. Yeah. Just so that we could watch the coastline go by.
A big argument for the veranda is there's Glacier Day, which is a day that the ship heads into Dawes Glacier, and there are excursions available to go closer to the glacier, but a lot of people do stay on the boat for that, and the ship will actually do I think it just did 180 degrees. I've heard it might go the full 360, but I think our ship just did 180.
I think it did too.
So
but I wasn't paying attention. I was watching the glacier.
Yeah, right. So some people do stay on the ship. Some people go up to the upper decks to view that. But there is the benefit of having the veranda. So we actually did do the Dawes Glacier viewing on the excursion boats that got up closer to it. It was a really cool experience. And then by the time we got back to the boat, it was still turning. So we got to stay on the veranda and continue to view the glacier. Yeah. So there are quite a few points for veranda viewing. But like we mentioned, everybody doesn't have to get a veranda room if you have multiple rooms. Because also a point for the inside staterooms that don't have any balconies or portholes is that it gets quite dark.
Yeah.
So you're going to get some good sleep.
Yeah. So if you are somebody who's sensitive to light when you have to sleep, then an inside stateroom is definitely for you.
Yes.
Because it is dark.
So weigh those pros and cons when you're looking at the staterooms, the types of staterooms. Location-wise, here's our spiel. If you get seasick or think you might get seasick, the best option is to be midship, mid-level. So where we were was midship, deck 6. And that was really nice for us. I didn't experience any kind of seasickness in the room. Now, up in the Palo area, deck 10, on the upper decks, on the very back or the very front, you're going to feel it a lot more than in the middle.
Especially if there's, a lot of wave action on those days.
Yes, anytime you're away from land, you're farther out from the coast, you're going to feel it a lot more.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could say, some people compare an Alaska trip to, a Caribbean trip in terms of how seasick or how much does the boat rock. I really think it could be up in there. I think you can have a smooth trip in the Caribbean or a smooth trip in Alaska, and then vice versa. It can get pretty rocky either way. So it's a flip of the coin, and just stick to midship if you're looking to avoid that in your stateroom if you can.
Yeah, because Aubrey gets really seasick, and she did a lot better on this trip than she did with the first trip.
Yes. And side note, for the seasickness, I'll include some options here. Don't take medical advice from us by any means, but these were some of the suggestions that I've seen through Facebook groups, research, and some stuff that worked for us on our trip. And so maybe you could try those out as well.
Yeah. And definitely, if you have a really tough time, talk to your doctor, but just be careful and know the side effects to those, because Aubrey experienced a side effect to one of her prescription.
Nothing terrible.
Motion sickness. Yeah, she couldn't see. It caused her eyes to dilate, and then she couldn't see. So, which we didn't know that at the time that it started happening, and it was we were kind of.
She's like, I'm kind of getting a headache,
and till we figured out what it was.
So, just a side note there. Okay, now that you've got your room picked out, you kind of know where you're gonna be at. Next thing is packing for your trip. So while packing, you're thinking it's probably going to be cold when you go, which is valid. We did experience some very cold days.
Yeah.
But you're also going to want to pack to layer.
Also, it's warm. So best advice is you layer, but you're going to want to have some, a little bit heavier, at least for your outer layer, because it sometimes when the wind at certain
is what
times
chills,
it was and wet.
Yes.
It was kind of rainy. That is another point. You're going to want to have at least one outer layer that is
water
repellent or waterproof, whatever.
Yeah.
But it rained pretty hard one day. So
if you
layer.
If you go check out some of our vlogs from the cruise, you'll see us on super rainy days with those raincoats over our other coats. You'll also see us in Ketchikan slowly start to shed all of our layers off as we got hotter through the day, and then put them back on when it gets colder.
Because it gets colder.
So you're gonna want to pack a few different layers.
Yeah.
The strategy we kind of took with this going in was not only did we have the water repellent outer layer, but it was a thin outer layer. So then under that we had our coats of different thicknesses, whichever we liked. And then I also had flannels over just a regular t-shirt. So t-shirt, flannel, a coat, and then the water repellent kind of on top. When it comes to shoes, we just did sneakers, some boots, and like your comfort shoes for, in the room on the ship. And maybe a nice shoe if you like to dress up for evenings
or if you have a dinner reservation.
Yeah, so like if you have a reservation at Palo, that's kind of like an upper, nicer scale dining experience. So you'll want to dress up for that. Our note though is we didn't do any super explorative, physically demanding hiking of any sort. So we did not pack any kind of like physical hiking boots or water resistant shoes. Now you may want to have water resistant shoes for just like general walking, because it does rain. Ketchikan is the rain capital of the world or of the US. There's a lot of rain there. But yeah, if you're going to be hiking on any excursion, make sure you have the right footwear for that, because you do not want to be miserable with wet, cold feet. So those are our packing tips. You'll also have the stores on ship. So they'll have like the exclusive Disney Alaska merch. You're probably going to want to get some of that.
Yeah, and they have some, cute gloves and hats and little light jackets and that kind of thing.
So those are available. So you also might rack up some clothing and souvenirs in the ports as well. So when you're packing, don't pack too much.
Yeah.
Because you'll need a little room for some souvenirs.
Yeah. And if you get up there and you decide, I don't have enough warm clothes, there's plenty. There's plenty of places to shop and get, jackets. And I don't think they were crazy expensive.
No, the Disney ones will be a little pricey.
Yeah.
But once you're off the ship in an Alaskan port, there's a lot of great deals. A lot of the stores had clearance sections that had coats from like previous years.
Yeah.
So don't fret on that. So that's the kind of packing tips we have for you. Now you got to get there. Our main things that we want to convey is that having a flight direct from wherever you're at to Vancouver can be pricey. So keep that in mind. We have heard of some people, maybe flying to Seattle, riding a train into Vancouver, or riding something else into Vancouver. There is some risk there. If weather or something were to occur that the train is delayed, then you're kind of, last minute plan has to happen. So I would recommend a direct flight unless you have extra time for some of those other things.
Maybe not even a direct flight, but fly into Vancouver.
Yeah,
I think that is and fly in at the day before if you can, because there's flights now are delayed and canceled. And
don't stress yourself out. Don't stress me out by waiting, by flying in the day of, because those ships will leave on time. They will leave without you. So please fly in the day before. Find a cheap hotel. We did a cheaper hotel closer to the airport than to the port itself. Our Uber from the hotel to the port was about 40 minutes. Give or take.
Yeah, but it was also on a weekday morning too, though, wasn't it?
Yes, Monday morning.
So it was, people were trying to get to work and all too. So,
but I think we had a great experience with that.
Yes.
We did overhear a few people saying how when they went to, or people were saying don't use Uber, the port doesn't accept them, or they'll drop you off somewhere weird.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the case with some individuals in their
or maybe
experience.
Some ships, I don't know.
Or maybe some ships. But for Disney, for our experience, we took just a regular, was it Lyft or Uber?
It was Uber.
We took a regular Uber from our hotel, 40 minutes, drive into the port. A lot of those Ubers, in our experience, know exactly what to do because they drive this often. They do cruises all the time. Drove right underneath the port. They went right up to the Disney porters, and we literally got out of the car, they were already moving our luggage. We had our Disney Wonder luggage tags already on top, or already attached, which you'll get that in the mail. And we literally walked out of the car, saw our luggage go directly to the porters. Tip your porters. Walked right into the port to get checked in.
Our little carry-on stuff that we wanted to make sure we had before we got our luggage to our rooms.
So we had a great experience with Uber, and if that is an option for you, that's what I would suggest.
I couldn't get Lyft app there, and so I don't know if they may not have Lyft there. I don't know. That's why, but they do have Uber.
Yeah, or that could be a point of concern for people outside of the U.S. what's available. So Uber is very much available. A lot of if you go watch our Vancouver video, you'll actually see that a lot of the places in Vancouver also take, U.S. currency. The cards will exchange rate.
If you pay with the credit card, the exchange rate's already in there. You don't have to try and figure that out.
Yeah. So don't fret on that. It'll be all right. Also, when you get off your plane at the Vancouver airport, one thing that I have never experienced in an airport before is not having the ability to go to the bathroom until like a good 15-minute hike.
The entire airport to right before customs.
Yes.
So until you almost leave the airport, that's the first time we found a bathroom.
You will be on this suspended walkway after you get off your flight, up until you go down the stairs to customs. Once you go down the stairs, just turn the corner real quick. They have bathrooms in that little corner.
So, before you
got a long flight.
You got a long flight, you might want to get up and use the bathroom before you don't think, I'll just wait till I get off the plane. Because you might have a hike.
Yeah.
To get there.
Not to mention wherever you're at on the plane and deboarding and all that fun stuff. So. Yeah. Heads up, that was news to us. You finally made it to Vancouver. You're at the port. For the most part, I feel like the port experience was pretty common. I think there was an extra layer of security with just getting on. Just follow directions, really. It may seem a little overwhelming, especially if there's another cruise there. We were boarding at the same time as the NCL Jade, I believe. So there's a lot of people in one room, but they've got lines, they've got the, queues all set up.
And they have plenty of people there to help you, get to the right line. They had plenty of staff there.
The last thing I wanted to mention about the Vancouver port was that if you do get there a little bit early than your port arrival time, which is on your port arrival form, you can actually kind of exit out of the inside area and take a look at the cruise ship from this, like, I don't know, dock area, which is pretty cool. So you don't have to, stay inside or stay, like, you have to be in a line. You can just step out and wait till it's closer to your time, and they'll announce when you can enter the queue with your number and port arrival form. By then, you're practically on the ship. So now kind of the highlights of a Disney Alaska cruise and some tips and tricks. Probably one of the most famous things about a Disney Alaska cruise is the characters and their little Alaska outfits. They are so cute. Mickey's in his little fisherman outfit. Minnie's in her little, like, parka. And they are popular. So they will have a specific time for those special pictures outside in your app that you will, see what time they come out. If it is raining, it is usually Glacier Day that this happens. If it is raining, do not go to deck 10 where it says on the app. I'm warning you now. If it is raining on the day of your Disney Character Alaska special photos, go to deck 9, take a look around, see if there's any cast members, like, starting to queue up people. You're gonna wanna get there at least 30 minutes early, if not more.
Especially if you have an early excursion.
Yes. Get there as early as possible and make sure you know where they're queuing up. Yeah, that's what happened to us. It was raining and we kind of we showed up a little late to the party. We did also get to see Bluey and Bingo that morning.
Yes.
Which was special, so.
Yeah, that's why we were late.
Multiple characters that day. So we roll up and everybody's downstairs. The line is already super long. We did luck out because we were early enough. We got our pictures with Mickey, which is our priority. And then we hopped in line for the Minnie, just by the skin of our teeth, missing that cutoff for Donald and Daisy, which they were going to be the next characters out. Prioritize the characters you want the most, and yeah, maximize your time trying to get those pictures with those characters. It's not certain if they'll have other opportunities in those character outfits, and if you have an excursion that day, you gotta
plan. You gotta plan if you're gonna do excursions. So, you gotta plan your day.
And also just for any characters in general, you're going to want to be there probably 10 to 15 minutes early, because they do have those cutoff times for, like, if another character's coming up right behind them. So,
and they are so good that they kind of can tell how long a line can be for the amount of the time slot.
So if a ton of people show up right at 9 o'clock to meet, Mirabelle from Encanto, then they might cut off the line at 9 o'clock.
Yeah, just know that ahead of time.
Prioritize your characters.
If that is a must, then you want to get there early.
Same with the Broadway style shows. You get there early if you want to be able to pick your seat. Concierge staterooms, they get to go in first and get kind of like a star treatment. But the first people up at the doors in line, we waited about 30 minutes usually before every show. You get almost any pick of seats. We really like the center, kind of towards the back of the first section of seats. Those are usually some of the best seats, that, in our opinion. Time to go into excursions. One of our favorite excursions was the Dawes Glacier excursion, where we got on that smaller boat and got closer to Dawes and had kind of a full-on wilderness whale watching explorer excursion, because the Allen Marine tour group that works alongside Disney for these excursions was one of the best tour groups. We really enjoyed that excursion in particular, but it is a little costly. So another big tip is that some of these excursions, especially through Disney, can be a little pricey, particularly this one. I think it's worth it at least once. we got closer. We saw a bear. We saw whales.
And you're down closer to the surface of the water, so you can see the ice a lot clearer, and the size. It's, you know, how big these chunks of ice are.
We got to touch it.
And and the staff are a biologist, so you'll have at least
or naturalists.
Naturalists, they call them naturalists. Yeah. And so they're very
knowledgeable.
Thank you. Knowledgeable, and can, you know, help educate you on that part of the world.
Plus, you get some, I guess, like iceberg margaritas almost.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't know if they do that every time, but they did for hours. They fished a chunk out. They carried it around to let us all hold it.
I think they use a different chunk than the one everybody holds for the drinks.
Yeah, but they
fish out a few chunks, and some of them they use for drinks. You don't have to get the margarita. You can just get a Coke with, you know, iceberg ice or glacier ice.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. They do have another version that is for adults only. That one's even more expensive. I don't think that one's worth it, especially because that one is the later tour. So I guess if you really want to prioritize the characters and would want that evening tour, that's one thing to consider. However, if you have early dinner and you do that late tour, you will miss your first and second courses. We had a neighboring table that had that happen, where some of their party went on that later excursion and didn't show up until that main entree round. So something to consider, that excursion in particular. So I definitely think that's worth it. But again, with this Alaska cruise, there is a lot of price. We've already got the stateroom price, the flight cost. Now we're talking excursions. The price is going up. So starting to weigh that value with that experience here. So when you leave, you have a day at sea, you have your glacier day, and then you have the first official port, which is Skagway. Our main tip here is take that early train ride if possible, because Skagway, in our experience, didn't open very early. Everything kind of opened closer to 9:30 or 10, and so we were off the boat at like 7:30.
30, yeah.
Everything's so close. We're walking around like
the only
it's a
thing
ghost
that's
town.
open is the train depot.
Yeah,
because they're going to have the first train leave out.
Yeah.
So, you know, we didn't know that, and we would have taken that first train.
Yeah.
But
the one good thing about us not taking that first train, though, is because the trains take about 3 hours for their full loop of a trip. We were there when everything started to open, so we were in line pretty early for the Klondike Doughboy, which is a must.
Yes.
Get there early if you can, because if you wait until lunchtime, that line will get longer, and maybe that $8 Doughboy isn't as good when you wait super long. Yeah. But when you only wait a couple minutes, that is the best.
But it is worth the wait, though. If you had to wait 30 minutes, it's worth the wait.
It's yummy.
They're hot
and fresh.
They make it. I mean, they're turning them over as soon as they get made. They're going out the door. Yes, hot and fresh, so good.
And we were also there for the opening of the Red Onion Saloon. Right at 9:30, they'll open the doors. You can go ahead and have a drink. What do we have, a reindeer fart there?
Yes, reindeer fart.
Those were good. And the food doesn't start being sold until 10. And at the actual museum portion of the Red Onion Saloon also the tour doesn't start till 10 as well. So we got on there right at 9:30, had a couple of drinks, super good. Then we went up and did the tour with the madam, and yes, we had a wonderful tour.
We did.
The tour is obviously, you know, kind of PG-13, kind of mature material. So keep that in mind if you have younger guests with your party. But it is very historical. There's so much history there because the Red Onion has been there since the Gold Rush. And through World War II, there's so much history in that building, and it was so cool to see all those things upstairs. So we were there for those first few things. Red Onion did get really crazy. By the time we got done with that first tour, there was a line out the door to get seated. So something to keep in mind. For the train itself, I recommend sitting, if you're facing the train depot, I say get on the left side so you're closer to the train depot when you take off. I think the left side was better for the views going up the mountain, and going down was still good, but like you got everything recorded, then you could just kind of relax on the way down if you want to keep those memories. I will say it kind of gets stuffy. You can step outside once you leave Skagway,
but there's not a lot of room.
There's not a lot of room.
You got to kind of wait your turn to step outside, and it's kind of when you get your seat, that's kind of where you stay. You don't,
especially because they sell just about every seat.
Yeah.
So there are other options. We just did the general seating. There are some nicer options
VIP
and like
would be
private cars.
Yeah.
Those did look really tempting after being in our car for a little bit.
With the gazillion little kids.
A lot of people, a lot of different walks of life, So yes, just consider that. Consider how you are with being stuck with strangers for a while.
But we didn't have that on the boat.
No.
The boat excursions, we didn't have any issues.
So for Skagway, just be aware of those things when you're on the train. The train is worth it, though. Definitely do a version of the train.
Yeah.
Next thing we want to say is with any excursion, if it is through Disney, which is recommended, they will not leave without you. If you book third party for a cheaper fare, there is a risk there that if y'all get stuck, something happens, or get caught in traffic on the way back, the boat can leave without you. But Disney is aware when their own excursions are being delayed, so the boat will not leave without you. And that's another good reason to do.
So consider that.
And that's another part of that value. Disney may be a higher value or higher cost, but the value of you will not get left behind is pretty high, I think. So make sure you check those all aboard times in your app as well when you're out on those excursions. The next port is Juneau. Here is where we chose to do whale watching, which we had a great time on those boats. Oh, we were talking about how the mixed group of children, we didn't have any problems with those boats. So plenty of room to move around.
This was another Allen Marine.
Yes, another great experience with them. We saw plenty of whales, saw a mom and a baby, and
a sea lion
got
group.
Really close to a sea lion group.
Yeah.
So that was definitely worth it. It was a longer excursion, so that's one thing we felt we missed out a little bit on, was because the time in Juneau, which again, you can check your app to see how long you're going to be in Juneau. It was a little short, so we spent a lot of time on the whale watching boat. And then we got back. We saw the line for Tracy's crab. Our tip is if Tracy's is way too long, go over to the name here, go over there and enjoy some of their crab. The wait was significantly shorter. You also can put your name in, and you'll get a little beeper thing. So you can go around and shop in the mall that it's located in. Yeah. So you're not just standing in line for that whole 30 minutes to an hour.
And in the rain.
And in the rain in Juneau. It was raining.
Because it was raining.
So that is an alternative option to the famous Tracy's. There's also a second Tracy's location, but that's further. That's another good walk. So consider all of those when you're thinking about getting crab, particularly in Juneau.
And there's also crab in Ketchikan.
Yes.
That's really good. So we'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
You don't, if you miss out on crab in Juneau, don't worry.
Don't worry.
You could. There's other opportunities and just as good.
Also, make sure you we enjoyed some halibut while we were there too, because that's a big Alaskan fish that was pretty cool to get to try over there as well. They will have a bus that takes you from the ship to the main part of the city. So
you can't walk it.
You cannot walk. So keep that in mind when you're coming back for your time. If you're waiting for Tracy's or waiting for the other restaurant, then keep that in mind you got to ride that bus back to the boat too to get back on board. The next stop we have Ketchikan. So this was actually all of our favorite port. This was the port we also learned how important that layering was, because we did a little 15-minute hike over to Jellyfish Donuts. I really wanted to try the salmon donut, this savory option there. So worth it. And and why we pack layers, because we could just shed them as we got hot. They also have a number of bars there, so bar hopping is quite popular in Ketchikan and so worth it. We really enjoyed some of the little bar hopping we did. You've also got Creek Street, where you can walk on those like stilted restaurants and shops, and you go to Dolly's house, another madam's house full of history. That one's also worth it. I think it was like $10 or so each to do the walking tour in there. I thought it was a great price for the amount of history in that building. You can also go to the Ketchikan Fire Department and do their t-shirt vending machine.
Yes,
so
that was cool.
And all of that stuff is just in the city. That has nothing, no excursions or anything. The one excursion we did do was the Disney specific lumberjack show, which has Goofy coming out, and he does an extensive workout with these children. We thought it was just going to be a little, woo, we're lumberjacks, you got to work out. It was a full workout. It lasted like 15 minutes, I feel, of jumping jacks, sit-ups, push-ups. Goofy was doing all of it.
It was crazy.
Goofy was doing all of it. I couldn't believe my eyes. That was also a great show. That was Aubrey's favorite excursion. That one is the proof to us that they will not leave without, if it's a Disney excursion, because we were the last thing that day and the boat's about ready to leave. They just release us, and then there's this long line of everybody trying to get back on the boat. But of course the boat processes everybody. It waits just a few more minutes and then we're good to go. So there's so much to do in Ketchikan, including our preferred stop for crab, which was Crab and Go. They had delicious a crab combo with clam chowder?
Yeah.
Clam chowder, bread, their crab, and all the other crab options too are really good. The loaded fries, crab cakes, super good, and kind of a little bit of a story how the owner or the owners met each other in the same building, just at a different restaurant.
And then they got married, and the female part of the owner, her father is a crab
fisherman.
Yeah, and so she's
got the supply.
And she's done it.
And she's been out there.
She's been on the,
So that was a really cool story.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
And very delicious. Oh, and that's because, and we mentioned that also, one of the popular restaurants in Ketchikan is the Fish House. That had a super long line right next to Lumberjack show. So Crab and Go right next door to that.
Right across. Yeah.
Super long line. Just defer over to Crab and Go. That was a great option.
Yeah.
With barely a wait.
Yeah.
So those are the excursions and the ports that you'll be going to, at least on this itinerary of the Alaskan cruise on the Wonder. Sometimes the Magic does go up to Alaska as well. You might have a little difference in itineraries there, but either way, if you buy certain things in port, they will be checked once you get back on board. That just means they'll, put your name on it, and you won't be able to get it back until you exit the ship back in Vancouver.
Debark,
Some of those things include like ulu knives, some of those special knives in Alaska. Knives in general, but those maybe some of those special ones is like you'll pick up in the stores. Other things are like candles you might not think about. Those are a fire danger, so those also have to be checked. Those are kind of like the main things we saw a lot of as we were getting back on. Your bags do go through a metal detector, so they'll be able to see, and you're not getting away with anything. So just keep that in mind when you do purchase those items. They will be checked for, when you get off the ship. Going over to rotational dining, you do have 3 restaurants included in your fare. Well, 4 if you're counting the buffet at Cabanas for breakfast and lunch, as well as some of the deck options. But for your nightly rotational dining, you have Tiana's Place, you've got Triton's, and you have Animator's Palette. So they have different types of meals. Please go check out our vlog for what those look like and kind of our reviews on everything. One major tip from Dad at the second night of Animator's Palette, when you're drawing your little character to be animated, make sure those lines are real thick so they show up well when they come to life on the screens. But the main things we want to talk about in terms of dining are if Palo is worth the extra cost to you, and some of our opinions on like sit down options during your trip. So first off, Palo. We did Palo brunch, and it took an arm and a leg to be able to, you know, snag that dining reservation. It is highly requested, highly sought after. So a lot of people are trying to get this reservation. We've heard the hype about it. Everyone's always talking about it. We get there. I actually get a little bit seasick because it's at the back of the ship.
At the back of the ship,
and
at the
towards
top. And it's very,
you feel it,
rocky outside. I mean, I even got a little sick.
And they do have kind of like an Italian kind of flavor palette for their options. The food was good. It was great even. Our main issue comes with that we thought that it was very similar to some of the stuff you could get in your general rotational options. Like, I loved the Palo soup, but I also loved the rotational soups. So is it worth it to us? We say no, because it's such an additional cost for kind of like an equal experience in terms of flavor. And then, but the staff was great as well.
Yeah,
it's definitely quiet and a nice kind of change in atmosphere. But for the additional cost, we didn't really see the value. Plus, the amount of effort it took to get the reservation in general was like, that's where we were like, ugh, it really didn't play out for us. Maybe sometime in the future we'll give it another shot, but at least our experience for this Alaska trip on the Wonder, we didn't really see the value in Palo. But a lot of people may say differently, so give it a chance at least once.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to your options for breakfast, we love Cabanas. It's where you have the most variety of food. You can get the amounts you want of certain things that you like. But some people may say go to the sit down.
It's loud, and some mornings, depending on where you're at, or you know where you're docking, and you know, time excursions were going to start.
Yeah.
Crowded. So there is a sit down option at one of the restaurants.
Yeah, that'll rotate as well. The one time we tried the sit down breakfast option, it was at Triton's. And you can also see if your rotational dining server is working as well. That's always fun. So we make sure we got Louisa, our waitress. So that's, you know, an options. You have the familiarity, you have the leisure of that. I didn't love the variety of options. The stuff I got was good, but you know, kind of wish there was a little
smaller,
bit more menu.
But it's a lot more. It's peaceful. It's not as, you know, crazy, and you're waited on. You know, they come and they bring you your order.
So you can also order some things that may be at Cabanas, like if it's your last day at sea, they'll have the churro Mickey waffles, and so you can ask, hey, can you get me the churro Mickey waffle? And they can, but don't go too crazy with your Cabanas request, because they do have to run up there, and
they have to actually physically go up there for you.
Yeah, so don't go crazy with that. We do not recommend this if you are in a rush of any type. Like I said, it's leisure. It's a time taker. There's no rush. So if you have to get somewhere like an excursion or a character meet and greet, you're gonna need to go to Cabanas and knock out your breakfast so you have plenty of time.
Or go early.
Yeah,
because
Cabanas will have the earlier opening time, whereas the sit down will be a little bit later in the morning. You know, either way, I think both are good options. It's just whatever you're looking for that day. Now, lastly, we wanted to go over some of our favorites. We talked about our favorite port was Ketchikan. Our favorite excursion was the Glacier. Aubrey's was the Lumberjack show. Oh, also, real quick, small side note, they do have pin events on these cruises. I didn't know before this trip. I think it's on any cruise. So check your app for when that pin event is happening for pin trading.
And be kind.
Yeah.
Especially to the little kids.
You don't have to trade with little kids if they don't have a good pin. But be nice about it.
Don't
berate their pins.
And don't
say, hey,
don't hurt their feelings.
That might not be a real pin, so I don't I don't really want to trade, but
Yeah.
just don't be mean about it.
Yeah.
We witnessed that a little bit. So
Yeah, it was sad.
yeah, so don't do that. For the Wonder, for the Alaskan cruise, our Broadway options or our Broadway things that were happening were the Golden Mickeys, I think it was called Disney Dreams. That one also was on the Magic. And then you have Frozen. Aubrey loved, they actually had a special Broadway series happening where they brought actual Broadway stars onto the boat. Super cool. So they bring real Broadway actors onto the ship and they do kind of a little run of some of their hits and some of their favorites. And it was really cool to see the stars that came onto our ship. That was Aubrey's favorite show. I think we really liked Frozen. They had the puppets, the magic, the effects of that show was
cool.
really great. And then Dad loved the Golden Mickeys because that one was kind of like a run of a bunch of Disney movies. So that one was also really cool to watch and something that's specific to the Wonder. Well, not the Golden Mickeys, but that selection of shows was, for the Wonder. Oh, what about our favorite restaurants? So I really like Triton's. That one's kind of like, it might have like French and just a little bit more upscale options. Dad specifically likes Cabanas at breakfast. He said that was his favorite.
Yeah.
You had said Vibes at Mardi Gras? Or Vibes of Tiana's.
Yep, I like the Mardi Gras night at Tiana's.
That was a lot of fun. And then Aubrey really likes Cabanas lunch, particularly the mashed potatoes. And then
The
Frozen.
macaroni and cheese.
Oh yeah, macaroni and cheese and crab on your
Oh, yeah, and
your-
the shrimp.
the day you leave.
Yeah.
So Aubrey also really liked the Frozen menu that they have on Frozen night. So that's really good. Taking all the details when you're on these trips, and overall, is a Disney cruise to Alaska worth it?
I had a great time. I love Disney. I love the Disney cruise. If you don't know that you like a Disney cruise, I still highly recommend an Alaska cruise.
Yeah.
Alaska was amazing. It was amazing. It was beautiful. And so, there's other cruise lines.
There's other cruise lines. Almost every other cruise line at this point does
Yeah.
Alaska. You might think Disney is a kids cruise line. Definitely
Yeah.
not.
There's couples older than Jeff and I, that are by themselves. No kids, no other
There's
family.
a whole after hours
themselves.
section for adults
Yeah,
only.
yeah.
So
that's an amazing.
yes,
Those
Crown and Fin, Cadillac Lounge,
Yeah.
and I think this one's Fathoms.
the after hours
or Azure.
clubs are really nice.
Yes, those are a highlight as well.
Yeah.
So it's definitely it's not just a kids cruise. It's for all generations, all types of groups, couples, families, anything in between. And the price does reflect the kind of valuable service you get with your rotational servers, your housekeeping. It really is next level, plus the type of excursions that Disney works with. They keep that same level of hospitality and service through everything. So it leaks into your Alaska experience. And that's why we think it is worth it for sure. It does come with that cost. But when you prioritize certain things, it can definitely make your trip absolutely phenomenal for the right price.
And we met some really awesome people from different places, and that is also, you can do that on any cruise, but
True.
I don't know, it just seems
almost
like
seems
we
like-
meet more.
And sometimes
Friendlier
with your Caribbean cruises, you'll have a lot of people who've done it before, or I feel like on this
Yeah.
Alaska cruise, there was a lot of, this is our first time too.
Yeah, their first
So that was
Alaska
so fun.
cruise. They may have done Disney before.
Yeah.
But this was their first Alaska. So that was fun
That
that
was
we all
fun
got
for
to
everybody's
see
first
some
time.
new. Yeah. And the excitement of seeing
We also did it
stuff for the first time.
early on in the season. We went in May, so that's early for Alaska cruises. So it was also our cruise second or third time on their trip. So when we talked about like, oh, we just saw whales, they were like, oh, that's so cool. I haven't even seen whales yet.
I can't wait till I get a day off so that I can go do that excursion, you know. So it was just cool.
So exciting and fun. So we definitely think it's worth it. I hope some of our tips really help you in your planning process, or if you're about to go, let us know when you're heading out, or if you're planning for next year, because we'd love to hear about it and hear what you're most excited to do. So thank you so much for staying tuned for this video and staying till the end. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Make sure you follow us on our other things like Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Blue Sky at Elmore Family Adventures. And until next time, we'll see y'all later. Bye!